How sovereign is sovereign compute? A review of 775 non-US data centers. So what this study does is um, it goes over 775 non-US data center projects, and it determines how likely it is. I don't know why the AI science isn't working, by the way. This must be busted. Oh, there we go. It's working. It was just a random number generator. It is working. So what happens is that when you put your stuff on the cloud, that has to live somewhere in the world. That can live somewhere that's not in the United States. So the question then becomes, how likely is it that foreign authorities, where data centers live when they're not in the United States, can ask the United States to get access to your data? What are the legalities around this data is protected by the US because there is a US citizen who has data in this data center in Thailand, for example? Can Thailand just ask for this information because the data center lives in Thailand? Can the US reject their request to do that? Can the company reject their request to do that? And when you look at the data, they really went to town. Like I think I downloaded the data set. They have an entire CSV data set. I wonder if I can just pull it up real quick. Yeah, here. And you can see there's a huge amount of data that they went over. Look at all this data with all the data centers all around the world, right? Quotes, sources of things were, I mean, there's tons of information here. I did actually pull this down and have a look at it. I want to do a deeper dive into it as well, because there's a lot of good information here, including some of the quotes are quite damning about the way that this works. So let me just go down to one of the charts. Let's say down here, who operates data centers outside the US in terms of investment? And neither US nor Chinese companies is in the yellow. That's a huge portion. And then in blue, we have US companies. What this means is that US companies dominate data centers just in general around the world in terms of investment and their ownership of them. But it also means that so do other companies. And because these data centers live across many different countries, what you have to tackle is the fact that you're now clashing against a country who says this data physically lives in our country, therefore we should be able to tell you what we want to extract out of this data. And countries like the US have to fight that and go, no, you can't. This is US citizen data. You don't have access to that. We're just leasing from you, renting the land, not the data, etc. There were some aspects of this study that showed that there is something like, I can't remember what it was, but it was on the lower end, fortunately, but it was something like 10 to 20% of requests for access to data by the country in which the data center lives in are acquiesced to, which means if you've stored something in a cloud, there is a small but non-negligible chance that your information could be asked for from a company like wherever it is, Thailand or I don't know, Singapore or whatever, and they will get access to that data, even though you're a US citizen using a US company and the data center itself is US owned, right? But they'll give it up. So I just want to have this out on record, because what this also means is that you're going to have the same problem as AI escalates its data centers and power centers. And all the information that they're going to grab about you using these AI systems, it's going to be subject to be handing it over when a country requests it at the country of origin.